Hi YouTube, this your girl Paige Simone, and I just wanted to come on here and give you guys my experience. I just had a set of twin girls, and I wanted to give my take on motherhood, being pregnant, the complications, the fun stuff, the hard stuff, just pretty much little girls right here. I think she's shy. I think she's shy. Do you want to get in the camera? Want to say hi? Say hi. Say hi to the people. She's not ready for show business yet, but she will be. But I wanted to start off just by saying it wasn't planned. Like, I didn't go through like in vitro or anything like that, you know, to plan to have twins. It was just kind of hereditary in the father's side of the family, more so than mine. And so when I found out, it was almost a year ago now, that I was having twins, it was like just shocking. It was completely shocking. That me, out of all people, was having twins. Pregnancy wasn't bad. I was carrying. The only thing was the morning sickness. People say like when you have twins that it's worse, but I'm not actually sure if it's worse having one or just two. But I know being hungry, I was like extremely hungry, like all the time. Like I was always hungry. I just needed to eat. And then I had a doctor's appointment. And at the doctor's appointment, they said that my cervix was still open. What'd you do? Oh. At the doctor's appointment, they were saying that I was having something that, like I was already going into labor, and that like my cervix was already contracting early. And so what they needed to do was like do emergency cerclage. And so they admitted me into the hospital for the procedure, and I was there for about 3 or 4 days. Mind you, this was my first time hearing about any of this stuff, so I was like, a cerclage? They were saying like the babies could die if you don't get it, and this, and I'm like going crazy because I'm like, what do you mean? What is this? What's the problem? And so we do our research on it. We do our research on it and figure out, you know, find out that other women do go through the same thing, having to get their cervix with the stitch in there to, you know, information, and saw, you know, how the procedure was, and saw that it wasn't as bad as it was seeming, you know, talking with the doctors. It wasn't as bad as long as they caught it early. And so I did get the cerclage placed for the remainder of the pregnancy. The procedure, got it done. After that, everything was going smooth, but they did tell me that I needed to be on bed rest for the rest of the pregnancy. And you know, when you get pregnant, you think everything's about to be fun. Like, oh, I'm take pregnancy pictures, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, you know, have a baby shower, have a gender reveal, all this kind of stuff, thinking that you're about to do all that, you know, once you find out that you are pregnant. Oh. And I was just over it, like bed rest. They were like, yeah, you sit in the house, you can't do anything really, much of anything. And I'm like, no, that is not fun. What kind of pregnant is that? That is not fun. And so, but I did it. And mind you, the weekend that I had to get the cerclage was the same weekend that I was doing the gender reveal. And so what we ended up doing was just having like our closest family and friends come to the hospital, and we did the gender reveal in the hospital. We did the gender reveal in the hospital. It was the funniest thing ever. We found out that it was 2 girls, and we were so for certain that at least one was a boy. Like, I even had on blue because I'm like, no, one's a boy. I want a boy. We wanted a girl too. We wouldn't mind. We didn't mind having a girl. We didn't mind having whatever we had. We just knew like there was a boy in there somewhere. And when we opened up everything, that surprised us, and it was 2 girls, we were just like, really? How? But that's a whole nother story. And so, yeah, I did have the gender reveal in the hospital. After that, I was on bed rest, and so I didn't really do much of anything. Maybe a couple months later, I kept having my doctor's appointments, you know, every 2 weeks. And then a couple months later, they needed to admit me into the hospital again because the babies were growing at a smaller rate than they should be. And so it was due to like their umbilical cord wasn't getting enough nutrients to them from me, or vice versa, or from their placenta, vice versa. And so, yeah, they put me on bed rest again. Well, extraneous bed rest, like hospital bed rest. I was in the hospital for like a month. And just trying to help, you know, the babies grow, checking on them, making sure that, you know, I didn't have to go into emergency C-section early, like way early, because I was still only like 20 something weeks. I was only like, I want to say 25, 24, something like that. I was only, that far along at the time. And so they would, you know, have the babies that early because all the NICU and all that stuff. We were not trying to do that. And so that was pretty hard, you know, being in the hospital for like a month. My kid's father, he's my boyfriend. He is my boyfriend. My kid's father, he was there with me. He was like one of my biggest supporters. He was there every day, every night, like, you know, just bringing me food, making sure I was okay. But it was just so depressing, like sitting in the hospital all that time. Like, it was literally a month. I spent my birthday in the hospital. Like, I was like, this is not fun pregnancy. Like, I'm having twins and I'm sitting in a hospital bed. It was just not the most fun experience, you know, that I thought that I was gonna have. Because, you know, you see everybody on Instagram, on social media, and they're pregnant and this going on, and you're like, oh, okay, bet. And then when you have your turn and you're like, I gotta do what now? I gotta stay where? So it was an experience, of course. But we got through it. Now it feels like a distant memory, being in the hospital and all that time, because it was just really depressing being there. But everything was okay. I was able to leave. I think I want to say 32 weeks, 34 weeks. No, I was around 32 to 34 weeks when they let me out the hospital. And I ended up having the twins at 36 weeks because they were still growing well, but they were still small, so they didn't want to keep them in there any longer, you know, because they really wasn't going to gain a whole lot more weight since they hadn't gained that much, you know, throughout the whole pregnancy. And so we did go ahead and have, I had a C-section at 36 weeks. They came out 4 pounds, 9 ounces, 3 pounds, 12 ounces. And they were so perfect, like nothing was wrong with them. I was so glad of that. They had all 10 fingers and toes. Everything was proportioned correctly. They were just tiny. That was the only thing. Oh, she's mad I'm talking about her, y'all. It's okay, Mama. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, they came out perfect. Like, they were fine. I was so nervous. Like, that's a whole nother story too. The C-section part, whole nother story. If any of you can relate to anything that I had that went on, or if you want to hear about like some of the rest of the little stories that I have, as far as being pregnant, or like how life is now, being a mother of twins, just let me know in the comment section. Subscribe to my channel, you guys. I'll have a lot more I have a lot more content for you guys as well, as far as like different hair reviews. I colored this hair myself, different stuff like that, making wigs, makeup, of course. I did my own face. I do makeup. I'm a cosmetologist, actually, while I'm telling you each individual thing that I do. But yes, I am a cosmetologist, and so yeah, I do hair, I do makeup. I'll even style you if you need me to, you know, like far as your outfit. But yeah, comment, subscribe to my channel, and the babies in the background. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.